I want to discuss about the doubts which appear in our mind regarding the Buddha and the Dhamma and the Sangha and various other important aspects in this religion. So I have completed only, I think, the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. There may be some newcomers. How many newcomers are here? Newcomers mean who did not attend the first talk. Oh, many. That means still you have doubt. So you have no chance to clarify your doubt. So I discussed there are many difficult things for us to understand. Our knowledge, our way of thinking, and whatever imaginations we maintain in our mind regarding these issues, we never get the clear picture. So I mentioned that there are four. We know, but there will be a lot of hindrances, obstructions, difficulties for us to maintain that concept or confidence. This remains in our mind until we attained the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, then going on reducing. The more we go higher and higher and higher, the more we reduce all these doubts. Therefore, you should not worry about that. That is why the Buddha gave this advice to Kalamas, the young group of boys. What is this advice? When they said that they have a lot of doubts about religions, then what did the Buddha say? Don't doubt anything about religion. What did he say? No, that's the trouble with you. You cannot remember. He said, you must doubt. You understand? If you accept at once, you never realize the truth. Because of the doubts which appear in your mind, you take the trouble to study, to understand, to clarify. So he encouraged people to doubt at the beginning. Then don't stop there. So when you study, observe, think, you get the answer. His way of teaching. So what are these four? That we never realize completely. But we can talk, we can write. We have some ideas, but not clear. Can you remember these four? Some of them? The Buddha Visaya, Kamma Visaya, Loka Visaya, Jhana Visaya, these four. The nature of these four issues. Buddha Visaya, the nature of the Buddha's enlightenment. We cannot understand. We have very shallow ideas about his enlightenment. We think he is a very intelligent, holy, perfect religious teacher. Some others say he is a reformer, social reformer. To many others, he is a great thinker and philosopher. So this very limited interpretation. But when you analyze those 9 characteristics, virtues that you recite every day and analyze, and you get some sort of idea the nature of this enlightenment. There you can find only 9. There are thousands of others. So, people can ask, when the Buddha says something, they can ask, how does he know this? How did he get this knowledge? Who gave him this knowledge? Where did you study? This is our way of thinking. Because they cannot understand the nature of enlightenment. Now this is the first one. Second one, karma. We believe, we accept, we know that it is true. But there are many doubts and many things that we cannot understand. How our own karma affect us from time to time, we do not know. And we do not know where these karmas are stored, deposited. We do not know. And we do not know why certain karmas cannot affect us. And we do not know why evildoers enjoy their life without suffering. And we also do not know that many people who are very religious-minded, virtuous, cultured people who suffer for nothing. Why? We say it is karma. To understand this, there are many more things for us to study. That is why the Buddha says it is difficult to understand. And we also cannot understand how we carry forward our own karma from this life to our next life. How do we carry? The third one is more difficult. Loka Visaya. Loka means world. I understand you have started to learn Pali, so must learn the meaning of all these words. Loka, world. The nature of world system, the nature of life, different kinds of living beings who exist in different part of the world or the universe. Our human mind is not matured enough. To us it is incomprehensible. We cannot imagine, cannot understand. The only answer that we can give is this: God knows. That is not the answer. God created like this. That is His business. You should not worry about that. But there are many who cannot satisfy with this answer. Why? Some living beings have 4 legs. Why others only 2? Why some have no legs at all? Reptiles, birds, they can fly, but we cannot fly. Why different shape? different colors or different ways of life, different formation on the land, in the water. So when we go on analyzing, we can understand that it's impossible for us to understand why they exist like this. The formations of planets, stars, galaxies. Now, this is the third one. Last one is called jhana vishaya. Through meditation, people gain some sort of mental development. The power of this development create some sort of energy in our mind to overcome natural phenomena, to overcome the nature, to go beyond the natural way of life. That means they can appear and suddenly disappear. That is not natural. And they can transform themselves as humans or animals or angels, change the formation of the physical body or the appearance. And they can create certain things, phenomena, rain, sunlight, wind. Then to understand others' mind, to read others' mind, so we cannot understand how this normal human mind can grasp or can develop the normal mental energy up to that extent. Unless you meditate and develop, you gain this. These are the four things that we cannot understand clearly until we attain that higher stage. What are these four? Repeat. First one, the nature of the Buddha's enlightenment. Second one, the nature of karma. Third one, the nature of the world or the universe. Last one, jhana. And here I have few more. The doubt we maintain in our mind about our previous birth, last birth. To many people, this is the only, first and the last. But Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, and some other isms also says, no, this is not the first or the last. Continuity. Life process continue. For this continuity also take place, according to their interpretation, due to various sources. Because we differ again. Now Hinduism says that God is responsible for the transmigration of our soul. Therefore God is behind. So reincarnations or transmigration take place through the influence of God. Then Buddhism and Jainism, these two religions, there is another strong religion in India, still exists, Jainism. These two religions says there is no God behind. Our own karma, karmic energy, mental energy, cosmic energy, when all these energies combine or join with the elements, the formations of another existence or another life appear. That is called rebirth or reincarnation or transmigration. Many others say there is no such thing. There is no such thing as karmic force, there is no God, there is no soul. This life come into existence accidentally. It's a coincidence. So, the belief that people maintain that there will be another life hereafter is only a concept to them. Some others say, let it be anything, why worry? Let us do our work. I think they are wise people. Because many people worry about their next life. They neglect this existing life and worry about the next life. That is not a good attitude. And this advice the Buddha has given to somebody. To whom? Can you remember? When they said that they don't believe, they have no ground to believe that there will be another life. Can you remember? Kalama, same youth group. They said, we don't believe that there will be another life. Then the Buddha said, don't worry. He did not try to influence them to accept. Indirectly, he said, forget about your next life. Do your duties. Fulfill your duties and obligations without worrying about your next life. See the way. The Buddha is a practical religious teacher. Because when we fulfill our duties, responsibilities, indirectly we are going on shape up our own next life. But he did not want to say that you are molding your next life. Because good and bad that we have as our natural character depend on our next life. That is why to many people rebirth is important. So if we say that there is no another life hereafter, they say then we can do anything whatever we like. There is nothing to talk about hell or heaven. So, but people who can think very deeply, they analyze in this way. It's a very nice saying, very simple, anyone can understand, but meaningful. This saying is, etatn etatn paralova sudaneni mahat halot yeheki paukam not bamusit netat ne paralova invana aved net etat netat ukala hat ipat. Can you, in which language? Pali. What do you think, Mr. Tan? You are Pali lecturer now. What language is this? Guess. Cannot. What about the Panditas? What is that language? Sinhalese. Right. It's a Sinhalese poem. A well-known poet composed this one, very meaningful. He says, etat netat, whether there is another life or not. Etat netat. Etat netat paralova, next word. Whether there is another life or not. Halot yeheki paukam notabamasit. It is advisable for you to give up bad deeds. Don't depend on next life for you to give up your bad things, bad habits. Netat epara lova invana avadinat. Assume that there is no more rebirth or another life hereafter. But you never lose anything, you never miss anything by maintaining your dignity without committing evils and bad things. There is nothing for you to worry. So whether we believe it or not, naturally we experience good and bad effect for the deeds that we have committed. It is natural. So the belief is not important. You can say that you don't believe, but that belief is not important for you to have another life hereafter because it is natural. You cannot stop your rebirth simply by maintaining that there is no another life. So, now the doubt is we are not sure or we do not know. First thing, we do not know where we were, where we come from. Not necessity. But there will be a day that we can understand this. When we attain Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, from that stage onward, then we can recall, trace back where we were, what we have done. Earlier, we cannot understand because this memory is completely covered, eclipsed with or by various other mental defilements. That is why when the burdens and responsibilities and defilements were removed from the mind, we get the chance to bring up that memory, where we were, what we have done. Besides this, there are some rare cases in many parts of the world that some small children suddenly remember only one previous birth. That is memory. So it depends on their mental faculties, formations of their mental faculties to maintain this memory. Even modern psychology also cannot give a clear interpretation how they maintain this memory. They are studying. They maintain this only for a short period, maybe 1 or 2, maximum 1 or 2 years. After that, completely forget. Because various other mental activities, when occupied this mind, the memory again submerged, goes down. Forget. Now we have forgotten many things, what we have done, what we have seen when we were very young. But that memory is there in our mind. It's exactly like this. It's very natural. That is why we cannot remember. So those children, they get this memory suddenly due to the development of certain mental faculties and brain cells and neurons and so many other things also. Then they explain to others. After their observations, they found out it is true. No one can deny. Many of those non-Buddhists who have studied this, they say, yes, it is true. Now you can understand why it is difficult for us to remember our previous birth, whether it is true or not. But the doubt still remains in the mind. We haven't got enough materials in our mind. We have to develop, cultivate more and more. Next one, hereafter. Whether there will be another life after our death. Because different religions give different interpretations. Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, Sikhism, there may be some other religions, strongly believe that there will be another life. Again they differ. One group says there is a limited number of, say, thousands or 10,000s or 80,000, only that much. And Hinduism and Buddhism, these two religions, says, Hinduism says the Atma, the soul, created by the God, transmigrate. When we use this, we pollute, we abuse, misuse by committing evils. So, transmigration take place as long as defilements or impurities remains in that soul. The very day when this soul is completely purified, no more defilement, stop rebirth, no more rebirth. Union with Brahma. Go back to Brahma, the Creator. Now this is the Hindu concept. But the Buddhist concept is entirely different. The Buddha's interpretation is Pabhassaramidang bhikkhave chittang Tanchako agantukehi upakkilesehi upakkilitta. Naturally, at the initial stage, our minds are pure. Later, when the senses, mental faculties start to develop, deals with external objects, worldly things, by using senses and the mind, then pollute the purity of that mind. Karmic energy is a separate thing. Here we are talking only about mental energy. So mental impurities take place in this way. But this is a very big question to many others. How craving, cruelty, anger appear in the man's mind at the beginning. How did he get this? Think very carefully. How did you get your anger? Immediately after your birth. You indicate certain things. The more you grow, after a few months, after a few years, then more and more noticeable indication. Then we can see anger. Then jealousy also develop later. How this person got this? Well, according to many others, devil created this. Devil is responsible for all the bad things which prevail in the man's mind. Temptation created by the devil. This temptation condition produce one after the other like germs and virus, various other defilements, impurities. Then the cruelty, anger, jealousy, grudge and ill will and so many other things develop. So temptation was created by devil. The God create only your life or your soul. This is their interpretation, easy to understand. The Buddha did not agree with this. To him, there is no devil behind to influence us, to create anything in our mind. Then how did we gain this? Now what about the good qualities, virtues? Not only bad things. We develop our kindness. Or some are very honesty or sincerity. Who gave this? Then intelligence and stupidity. Who gave this? When you analyze one by one, easy to understand, there is nobody behind to influence our mind or to give any of these good and bad qualities into our mind. Then what is the answer? The Buddha has used only one word for that. All these qualities, virtues and good and bad habits that we maintain today in our life are nothing but the reflection of our previous birth, last birth, how we used our mind. All these ingredients still remains in the mind. We never get anything from anybody or from outside. Then how did we maintain this in our mind? You have to study this. So when we explain how rebirth takes place after our death, then you can understand. I have told you the last moment or the last breath, when there's no more life process, mental process, what will happen? The consciousness depart from here, energy. Then we have to analyze this consciousness. What is it? Consciousness is not a mental energy. The combinations of so many kinds of energies. Pure mental energy and the karmic energies that we have accumulated during our lifetime and previous karmic forces, sankharas. See how many things are there. Our craving attachments that we develop towards so many things, all are energies. Then our good and bad habits, likes, dislikes, mental energies. See how many kind of energies are there now. It is not mind. In that mind, these ingredients are there. It is due to lack of this analytical knowledge of the mind. People have introduced this eternal soul and spirits and self and all these things, because they could not understand the nature of human mind. Even today, how many people can understand this? Later, when it is transmitted, this consciousness, so many other energies, external. See? External energies, cosmic energies. How many kinds of cosmic energies? Elements. At the initial stage, elements also remains as energies. Later, turn into elements. So mix up, absorb, combine those mental faculties, mental energies, karmic forces and craving and attachment. Then external cosmic energies and elements. How many things are there now? Now then, It's a very big bundle now. And this bundle, all are energies. No one can see, invisible, settle down. Because karmic energy, direct, where to go. Craving and attachment, pull. All are energies. Then drop, settle down in a mother's womb. After that, nucleus of another life is originated there. When this life develop and develop and develop, the formations of mental faculties and the physical body and the senses the shape, that is why I told you earlier, take different shape as humans or animals or any other forms of living being. Karmic force is responsible. Kammang satte vibhajati yadidang hina panitata. Here, the way. The Buddha says, karmic energy is responsible for this different formation, shape. Whether to become humans, animals, or devils, or ghosts, or angels, or devas, karmic energy is responsible. But life is life. Then, whether it is fortunate or unfortunate, miserable or pleasurable, these qualities also depend on our way of life, how we use this life today. Whether we are leading a life by hurting, disturbing, bluffing, swindling, practicing all sorts of immoral and wicked and harmful things, or whether we are leading a respectable, reasonable, harmless, noble life, that way of life is responsible for it. So others have nothing to do with this. Devils or God have nothing to do with this. Now you got enough materials, ideas to think whether there will be another life or not. Then what did the Buddha says? If you want to see the end of this, if you don't like this, punarapi maranang punarapi janani. Again and again, we appear and disappear. Then we grumble. If you don't like it, then he says there's a method. What is the method? Analyze your own mind. So when you come to know, you have more selfish ideas. You have more craving, more attachment towards so many things. The more you have to remain here. Because these forces pull you. Remain here in this world. So you are bound to this world. Cannot get rid of this because of this bondages. Craving is the main culprit. So as long as you maintain this, so long you have to remain here. Rebirth take place. If you like that, you can remain, but don't grumble. When the troubles and worries and pains and disturbances, calamities and death and all sort of things come to you, don't grumble. Because you don't like to go away because of your craving. So when you remove all these things slowly, cut off all these bondages one by one, 10 fetters, 10 bondages to attain Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahant. When all the bondages cut off, then goes up like a balloon and no more rebirth. Stop. By knowing, rebirth gives trouble, problem, worries, physically, mentally. But many people don't like. They like to have another life. Yes, no problem, they can have, but don't grumble. Don't cry. So this is the way how we had to clarify the doubts which appear in our mind, but not simply by maintaining some sort of belief, because religions encourage us to believe. The Buddha never agreed with this. He said, don't believe anything, doubt. Then study and observe and think and understand. Study and observe and think and understand. By developing your faith, you cannot clarify your doubts. Never. In fact, you strengthen the doubt through your faith. Panatipata Veramani Sikha. Sikha Pada. You must learn this word. Sikha. Sikha Pada. Precept. Sila. Doubt about our Sikha. Sikha means discipline, training. So when we undertake voluntarily to observe some sort of good qualities or virtues or principle, that will become Sikha. Not as a law. When you observe as a law, there is no discipline. Because when there is a loophole, you violate it, escape. That is the danger of law. Law is very important. Now we obey all the laws introduced by the government, by this parliament. It is our duty. We are bound to accept. If we violate, we know we will be punished. But whenever there is any chance to escape, we violate it. So this precept, this discipline or sila or sikha is not like that. To observe thinking, if I don't observe this, if I violate this, the Buddha will punish us, the God will punish us. There is no discipline. Fear of that punishment, you keep quiet. When you get the chance, you do that. Now see the difference now. Still we are not sure. Simply by observing, and you take 5 precepts, 8 precepts as sikha for your discipline. You observe. Then you do not know how effective they are for your life. But they are very effective when you analyze for others to live peacefully. You understand? Now you observe the sikha or the precept not to kill others, not to disturb others, not to hurt others. Very good for other living beings because you don't disturb them. Very effective. But you do not know how effective it is for you. What you gain by observing this, that is the doubt. You observe not to tell lies. It is very good for others. They can live peacefully. But you do not know what you gain by observing this. Sincerity. And this is the problem. So by considering this problem, the Buddha has introduced this for us to consider in three ways. If not first one, then try the second one. Then go on. The first one is sampat virati. That means by considering, thinking very seriously our way of life, our human life, as human beings, as cultured or civilized human beings, it is unfair for us to commit such bad things which create suffering, worries, and disturbances. If not, according to my age, I have reached a maturity. I can use my common sense to understand what is right and what is wrong. So I abuse my dignity by violating this. If not, according to my knowledge and education, I have learned, I know all these things. I know the bad effect also. I can understand how others have to suffer because of these wrong things. Then make up the mind not to do such things. Again, the society that we live, or my friends, my relatives, my family members, how can I associate with them as a gentleman if I violate, commit these immoral or dirty things or wicked things? Then I have a religion. I believe. My religion teaches for me to lead a respectable life. To maintain the dignity and nobility, I must try to maintain, to observe. See how many things are there for you to consider if you cannot understand how effective this sikha or this observe. Assume you cannot consider in this way. Then you take another method. I have already volunteered, promised, announced. When you recite, that means you announce. When you say in the public, Panatipata Veramani Sikha Padang Samadhiyami, you announce to the public that you are not going to violate this. So people know that I have already promised not to do this. How can I violate this? It is against my religious principle. I disgrace, I abuse my religious principle. So whether I can understand or not, at the beginning, yes, there are some difficulties to understand, but later we can. So my duty is to maintain this principle, because it is harmless. By observing this sikha or this precept, you never harm anybody, you never disturb anybody. No one can say you are a bad man just because you don't kill others. Even animals, other living beings also like you, because you don't disturb them. Today, animals are scared of humans. They cannot trust humans because we kill them. So consider the precept, then analyze. What is this precept? What harm is there if I violate it? It's not only for my own benefit, not only for my own happiness or my salvation, so to go to heaven just because that I observe this precept. You have to consider how others feel, what sort of sufferings you create, fear, tension, hatred, suffering you create. So you are responsible for all those evil forces. So is it reasonable for me to do that? To allow others to suffer because of me? Now see the way how to analyze. Very narrow and very shallow, very selfish idea. Religionists have introduced for people to observe their religious law, teaching them, you must observe this. If you don't do that, if you violate this, the God will punish you. Never encourage them to analyze and understand further. Why? What is the significance? Which idea of observing this precept or religious law? Animals also keep away from killing when we train them. Now those lions, tigers, pythons, when they were trained properly, they obey and they become harmless. Even then, you can see occasionally, when they get back their intrinsic or the natural animal instinct, suddenly they attack. That means there is no proper understanding or discipline in them because of fear that we have created in their mind to train them. Beating and beating and beating without giving food. Because of that fear, they don't want to harm, just keep quiet. But occasionally they get back to their normal way of life. That means no proper discipline in them. So, when we observe any religious law or the precept, thinking there will be a God to punish us, therefore we should not do that, worse than those animals. Because whenever they get the chance to understand there is nobody to punish us, they can do anything, whatever they like. Because no training, no discipline, no understanding. It is selfishness. And they never think how others suffer because of their bad deeds. Stealing, killing, bluffing. See? The way how we have to consider, to understand the value of observance of the precept of the Sikha. Later, after developing and developing, we come to the higher stage to observe all the precept. That is called Samuchcheda Virati. Samuchcheda means eradication, wipe out. Through our observances, practices, after training and training and training our mind, evil forces such as selfishness, craving, hatred, jealousy completely disappear from there. No more in that mind. When these evil forces are no more in that mind, it is impossible for that mind to create such idea in that mind to commit this kind of thing. Never. Now let us take those who have attained Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahanta stage. There are certain things under any circumstances they never violate because such ideas never appear in their mind since they have eradicated those evil forces from the mind. See? Very clear now. Now the Buddhas or Arahantas or Pacceka Buddhas cannot create any of these bad things because such ideas never appear in their mind because they have completely cleansed their mind. No more evil forces, defilements in their mind. It is not that purposely they keep away from evil deeds. See the difference now. In our case, ideas appear in our mind, temptation appear in our mind, craving, selfishness appear in our mind. We want to do that. And then we consider our religion, our precept, our family, our human race to maintain dignity, our education, our position. We have to consider all these things because our minds are not pure. In the case of those holy Arahantas, they have nothing to consider because such ideas never appear. Now, there is no doubt. We can understand why they are important, how our precept can train and discipline and purify our mind, what sort of services we can render towards others, and in the end, we are also benefited. I think enough, huh? Akasattha Bhummattha Deva Naga Mahiddhika තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ලෝක සාසනං නිත්තාවතා චම්මේහි සම්පතං පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ දේවා අනුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සම්පත්ති සිද්ධියා දේවෝ වස්සතු කාලේන සස්ස සම්පත්ති හේතුච පීතෝ භවතු ලෝකෝ ච රාජා භවතු ධම්මිකෝ ඉදං හෝ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා. සාදු සාදු සාදු.